Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right.
Better? Thank you, Todd. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. What we need for y'all to do is everybody get up at your seat. Bring your energy because it's time to start the SISAUNDRA Show. Yeah.
Welcome to the SISAUNDRA Show. We need y'all to go ahead and get all comfy.
Already?
Grab your bubbly beverage. And let's get this show started. Let's get it started. Woo. Listen, y'all, before we bring out our special guest today, I just have to tell y'all this because this is absolutely wild.
What's going on?
So, a fan,
Yeah.
check this out. A fan, yes, a fan, is suing the NFL for $100 million after Shedeur, did I say that right? Shedeur Sanders dropped to the 5th round in the 2025 draft. So the anonymous fan, calling himself John Doe, claims that he's suffered emotional trauma, civil rights violations, and consumer deception after watching Sanders go from a projected top pick to being chosen 144th overall by the Cleveland Browns. His lawsuit accuses the league of collusion under the Sherman Antitrust Act and calls out slanderous pre-draft narratives that painted Sanders as cocky, unprepared, and bad in interviews. He said all of it damaged Sanders' reputation and broke his own spirit in the process. Now he's demanding a formal apology, policy changes, and a cool $100 million in damages to make it right.
Yeah.
I want to see the end of this.
When I tell you, so y'all, meanwhile, the NFL hasn't said a word, but we gotta ask, is this justice or just delusion in a jersey?
Justice. Justice.
We need justice.
It's justice.
Yes.
Come on.
Emotional, damn it.
Justice.
Yes.
We're fighting for justice
Yeah, my
for
brother's
Shedeur
hurt.
Sanders. Okay, now that we talked about that and got it off our chest, let's get into it. Y'all, today we are in for a treat. Our guest is a visionary leader who has spent nearly 3 decades in hospitality leadership, not only surviving, but thriving in corporate America. He's now using his wealth of experience to shift the narrative and create impactful change with his ventures, Curated, Ascent, and Curating the Shift. From breaking down barriers as a Black leader to redefining what it means to build a legacy, his story is one of resilience, purpose, and strategic brilliance. Y'all, please welcome to the Lavender Couch, the one and only Mr. Justin Williams! Ooh! Justin Williams! Mr. Williams, how are you?
How you doing?
How about you? Great. Please have a seat. Hello. Well, hello and welcome.
Thank you. Greetings and salutations, my friend.
Greetings and salutations to you. It's an honor to finally get you on the Lavender Couch because we can't wait to hear what you have to say.
And I love lavender.
Come on. Yes, you do. Speaking of colors, he's mentioning colors, but y'all, he is also a fashion guru. Him and his wife are just fabulous with fashion. So it's great to have you and your GQ in front of us today. All right. So you've spent nearly 3 decades in corporate leadership. What made you decide to pivot and create Curated, Ascent, and Curating the Shift?
Well, so, African Americans, there's probably about 5% that are general managers that are African American in the entire country.
Interesting.
And so we always talk about how do we shift the narrative? How do we get people where they need to be? And we keep asking the question, but the question is not being answered. And so curating the shift and curating Ascent is really trying to give the tools to help people to get to where they need to be.
Ooh, I love that. Who else would be better to do that than you? You often talk about building a calling instead of just a resume. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, a lot of time, and especially now, people want to just build their resume. They want to build titles, but they never truly go after what their actual passion is. And I try to tell people that once you go for your passion, that is where your purpose is. And then the promotions will come, everything that comes along with it, because a lot of times we're working out of pressure versus the purpose.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't do the pressure, do the purpose.
Do the purpose.
Oh, that is so
We hear all the time when people say, you know, pressure either busts pipes or it makes diamonds.
true.
I don't have time for that.
Come
I want to go after my purpose. If I'm going on my purpose, I don't have to worry about pipes busting.
That is so true. I love the way you put that. Don't worry about busting the pipes when you are working towards your purpose.
Absolutely.
You are aligned. So curating the shift seems like a powerful concept. It truly is. Can you explain how it differs from just reacting to challenges? How do you intentionally create the change that you want to see and want to be?
You said it just there. It has to be intentional. We can't just go in and start reacting, because reacting comes with a lot of emotion.
Yes.
But when you put a strategic plan together, when you understand the entire layout, I give the example, there's things called the whisper room. There's a whisper room in corporate America. And these whisper rooms are where decisions are actually made, where people are sitting there and they're chatting and they're talking about, are you sure? Are you sure that they're qualified? Are you sure you want to give them that project? And once you understand where those rooms are, you can put a strategy together to create your own whisper to where it can make a huge noise.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's strong. So tell us where and when did you decide to get into podcasting?
You know, it actually happened during the events of George Floyd. And I was angry. I was
As we all were.
I was just very, very angry. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get this aggression out that I was feeling. So I'm at home. So I picked up a microphone.
Wow.
And I just started podcasting. And it was really therapy for me, just to really get all of my thoughts out. And it was very, very helpful. And that's where it started.
That's powerful. Now, you definitely did it for you, but you also did it for the people. What are the responses that you're getting from people who are listening to your podcast?
It's so funny because the therapy was, that was like the cherry on top. You know, I didn't know that that's what it was going to be. But as I started to talk to people and I start to hear their stories and I hear the things and understanding that we're all going through some version of it. And it's creating trauma.
Yes.
That's out there. And so as I start to get feedback from people, it just helps fuel me to go more and more and more. And so initially the podcast was called The Black and Bougie Experience. And so Black was power, bougie was elevation.
Yes.
And so as we evolve and we grow, that's when Curating the Shift came out. And the response has been amazing.
That's incredible. That's incredible. As a Black leader in corporate America, Mr. Williams, you've had to navigate a lot of tension. Can you share what it's like to speak your truth in spaces that weren't made for you and how you managed to survive, even thrive, despite the challenges that you had to face?
It's tough.
I can only imagine.
It is tough. You know, every room you walk in, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be the only person that looks like you. And you just get used to it.
Yes, you do.
You know,
I know those rooms very well.
You don't think about it, but for me, I look at it as a challenge. And so I realized that I started getting pats on the back, and people were so excited because they're like, wow, you're a Black general manager, and we're so excited. And I was feeling on the inside, well, why aren't there more?
Correct.
And so for me, there's no thriving for me unless I can get other people to thrive.
Now, I'm with you on that. When you sit in a room and you see the other side, you want to bring our people along with you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and I had a conversation with a CEO before, and I just said, you know, I have some really amazing people that I think we can bring along. And it was just kind of dismissed, like, but you're different. And I said, no, don't say I'm different. I'm just like my people, but I just managed to be in this space and I want to open the door for them. So I totally get it. And it's something that you're constantly, I wouldn't say fighting, but you're just trying to push the envelope to let people know that 5% needs to increase.
Absolutely.
There's more of us out here in general management that just need the opportunity to shine.
Absolutely.
So you emphasize protecting your peace while creating change. In moments of public criticism or personal opposition, how do you hold onto your inner peace and still push for real disruption in the system?
Well, I call that there's smoke and disruption. And so once you've notified that the smoke is there, you see the smoke and all of a sudden you feel that, you know what, I've got to disrupt some things to clear this smoke out. But the challenge is you don't want to disrupt things and then all of a sudden you're now unemployed.
Correct.
So that's really, let's just be honest,
Yes.
you know. So that's really the whole point of the shift. So let's figure out some things. Let's get people in position, but give them tools and tricks to when they notice certain things, they can do this without or minimal damage to themselves.
Correct. Knowing how to navigate
Absolutely.
these waters. It's so important.
Absolutely.
It's so important. So we're going to go to a short break.
Okay.
And we want our viewers to not go anywhere. Don't y'all move. We have Mr. Justin Williams in the house. And when he comes back, we're going to have no filter. So all the questions that you've sent in and you want an unbiased response, that's what you're going to get after this break. We'll be right back. We're the culture. SISAUNDRA Show. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us. Before we went to break, we were talking to the one and only Mr. Justin Williams. And now, y'all, it's time for our segment called No Filter. And we have Mr. No Filter here to help me. So, y'all, this is the segment where we strip away the fluff and get straight to the raw, real, and sometimes uncomfortable truths. This is where our viewers send in their deepest, most controversial questions, and we're here to give you the honest answers you won't hear anywhere else. Ooh. So no judgment, no sugarcoating, just pure authenticity. So refill your beverage because things are about to get real with No Filter. Yes. I love it. All right. So let's take a look at these questions. The first question is from Tanya. Tanya wants to know, or she's saying, we're living in a world where everyone's connected, but more isolated than ever. How do you reconcile the fact that we're more plugged into technology, but less emotionally connected to each other, especially when deep human connection feels like a lost art? Mr. Williams.
That's a deep one.
It is.
Because we need the technology.
Yes, we do.
At the same time, we really long for emotional connection. But the problem is, we don't even know what that feels and looks like anymore.
How did we lose it? Where did it go? Was it the pandemic? Is it technology?
No, I think we put a lot of blame on the pandemic, but it was already in the process of happening. I see it with children. We're just grooming them to be connected to this device.
Yes.
But it's up to us that know a little bit better to create spaces where people can go and truly, genuinely connect with each other. I hate when I go somewhere and it's a networking event and everyone is on their phone. Where's the actual networking that's actually happening? So we have to kind of reimagine what networking looks like to pull people, take a little bit of technology, but also put them in a space where they can actually get connected as well.
Yes, talking to other people. It's so important. That's a great answer. Let's move on to this next question. Thank you, Tanya, for that question. All right, so Timothy says, why are we taught that love should be unconditional? But the reality is unconditional love is often toxic and enabling. How do we love the people we care about without losing ourselves in the process? And how do we set boundaries that protect us without feeling guilty?
Well, you know, the selection process is half of the battle.
Yes.
So let's just be honest. You got to make sure that you're selecting the right person.
Yes.
I happen to have somebody that holds me accountable, and I hold her accountable. I do.
We love it.
But you know, it is all about accountability with each other as well. And once you hold each other accountable, and when you really, really know each other, and then you have to not let the small things shape your marriage. We do it at work. Like we're like, knock off the small things, do this, but we don't do it at home. So some of the grace that we give other people that are outside of our relationships, we need to be giving that same grace to our partners as well.
Most definitely, if not more.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes. Great answers. I'm telling you, y'all, we got the right one, baby. All right, let's move on to this next question. Thank you, Timothy, for that. Malia says, there's this pervasive idea that we can manifest anything we want. But the more I try, the more empty I feel. In a society that tells us we can control our fate with positive thinking, how do we cope with the reality that some of us are simply born into situations where we don't get a fair shot, no matter how hard we try? Ooh.
So you're dealing with a stage 4 cancer survivor here.
Yes.
And I didn't want to hear anything positive. It was at that point where I was like, I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me about faith. Don't tell me about anything. And I had people that just continue to force it down. I literally at the brink of where I was just saying, chemo, take me out, do whatever you need to do. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. But when I look back at it, I was stripped down to that emptiness. And then all of a sudden I saw this leaf on a tree. And I saw it was burnt orange and purple, and it was the most beautiful leaf that I've ever seen in my life. How many times have I probably seen that leaf before?
Probably many times.
A million times. But I had to be emptied. I had to be stripped down in order to be able to receive what was next to come.
That is strong.
Yeah.
That is strong. And thank you so much for sharing your story about your cancer surviving. I mean, it's amazing. I met you years ago, and that was one of the first stories you told me. And you're just constantly just moving, doing things. There's such an incredible energy in you of renewal and now faith that is amazing to watch in your life.
Yeah, you have to.
Yes. You did. You did. All right, let's move on to this next question. All right, so this is from Erica, and Erica says, the world's constantly telling us we need to heal and be better versions of ourselves. But what if the truth is that we're all just broken people pretending to be whole? How do we stop the cycle of self-improvement when it feels like it's just another distraction from confronting the raw, painful reality that life, in many ways, is unfixable?
Emotional, damn it!
That sounds a little toxic.
Yeah.
It does, right?
Self-improvement, it is all of those things. So you do have to deal with the raw and the painful realities of life.
Break it on down.
Like, if you don't do that, then how can you actually heal? But you've got to give yourself some of that same grace.
Yes.
Like, we are broken.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it just doesn't work out the way we want it to work out.
Correct.
We have to accept that. But what's the option? What's the other option?
To end it?
There's not.
There is none.
There's not. So
No.
we have to go on a path to try to improve ourselves. Now, I can get it. Sometimes you can hear just so much self-help talk and you're like, okay, can we move on to the next thing? That's why you got to pick and choose who you're receiving that
Yes.
information from.
Yes. You have to be careful who you let in your circle
Absolutely.
that speaks to your mind, right? It's so important. All right. So was that the last question, y'all? Let's go to this next question. I hope Erica got a great answer out of that. And this is Melissa. Melissa says, in a world where we're told to fight for our dreams, what do we do when we realize our dreams have been manipulated by society's expectations and we never truly wanted them in the first place? How do we step away from the life we were told to want and finally ask ourselves, what is it that I really want? Even if I don't have the words to say it yet.
Is this somebody that wrote this that knows me? Because this is where I am right now in my life. That's how it feels.
Feels like when you go to church and be like, is the preacher talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in hospitality for 30 years.
Yes.
I know I don't look that old.
I was going to say, you don't look a day over 35.
You know,
They
you
started
know.
you early, sir.
But, you know, it's so interesting because I thought that this was the life that I wanted. I thought that, you know, I achieved my goal of becoming a general manager. Then I realized what my real purpose was. And then I realized when I was looking at other people and they weren't getting there as fast, or they didn't have the opportunity, or their ceiling was somewhere in the middle. And I was like, I gotta push that up. You know what? Forget the ceiling. There is no limit. So let's just keep going and going and going. And so I just said, I'm done. I'm done. I want no more. I want to be fully in my purpose. People have been telling me for years to go out and do it and do it and do it. But I had to be tired of being tired. I had to be fed up with it and say, this is what I want to do. And that's what I did.
You went ahead and stepped out on faith.
Yeah. So
It's a beautiful thing.
and entrepreneurship is faith. That is all it is. It is scary. Like, I'm not going to give, as Erica said, I'm not going to just give you the positive sides of things. It's a struggle.
The real
but when I wake up in the morning now and I feel this freedom, I'm truly now a free black man walking.
Oh,
Like,
come on now.
yeah, I
That
never
gave me
felt
goosebumps.
I never felt that feeling before.
Wow.
But now I've always walked into rooms unapologetically me.
Right.
But now I can use my full 100% amplified voice turned all the way up.
Yes.
If I want to play Drake, I'm going to play Drake. If I want to play Outkast, I'm going to play Outkast.
You better come on.
I'm going to be all parts of me, whether you like it or not. But I'm going to put it in a strategic package, and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm black. Stop it. All right, so let's go to this next question. That was strong. Lance wants to know, Lance is saying, we're taught to fight for justice, but what if the system is so deeply flawed that it's impossible to achieve true justice? How do we navigate the uncomfortable truth that no matter how hard we fight, some inequalities will never be corrected because they're embedded in the very foundation of society?
I don't know. Thank you, Lance, but I don't fully agree. I think that we have to program how we think about things, and everybody can't fight the same way. We can't all protest. We can't all be in these meeting rooms. You have to look at it like the military. You've got the Air Force, you've got the Marines, you've got the Army, and you've got the Secret Service.
Yes.
And you've got the CIA.
Yes.
We have to start to put people where they truly need to be. Some people are going to be on the front line, and some people are going to be in the boardroom. We have to truly start to try to strategize so we can figure it out, because that society was built by someone sitting in a room and trying to figure things out.
Yes.
Why can't we?
Ooh, figure it out and implement it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mr. Williams, thank you so much for joining us. Where can we
you.
find your podcast?
I'm on all streaming platforms.
All streaming platforms.
Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Breaker, TuneIn, you name it. That's where
Everywhere.
I am. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing your time with us.
Yes.
To all of our viewers, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us. We're going to go for now, but we'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. for The Culture.
Sure
Get us
thing.
out of here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming too, sir. All right, y'all at home now, just scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen, because we've got so much more exclusive content for you right here only on the SISAUNDRA Show. So thanks so much for hanging out on the beautiful Carmarosa set and hanging with our amazing guests. But until next time, we'll all be right here waiting on you only on the SISAUNDRA Show.